Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the daily podcast in which we reach right in to get to the still beating heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And today I'm personally very excited to welcome our guest. He wrote The Complete Making of Indiana Jones, which we've referenced repeatedly on the show, as well as The Making of Star Wars, both of which have been sort of indispensable for me. J.W. Rinzler, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here virtually.
You are here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And today we're discussing Minute 9. Minute 9 begins with Indy using his recently deceased friend as a little bit of extra leverage to stand up from the table. It moves on to him carefully choosing a skewer from the pigeon flambe cart and then sharing it with Lao's son Chen. Moves on to show Indy giving the cigarette girl a very spirited tap on the cheek, and ends with Willie punching the floor and saying, "Ooh, nuts."
Well, I had a question, and this is one of the themes that we've had for the past several minutes, is that this has a very James Bond-esque flavor to it. And, when Cao Kahn says, I guess rhetorically, "Too much to drink, Dr. Jones?" I mean, to me, that sounds very much like a classic James Bond bad guy line. And I wanted to actually ask our guest, Jonathan, if does that ring true for you as well?
Sure, yeah. And he's wearing a tuxedo like Sean Connery in a James Bond film. And, you guys know as well as I do, how much Steven Spielberg wanted to do a James Bond film, and then George said, "I have something better than Bond." And they were on the beach in Hawaii. So I don't think it was very far from their minds, or at least Steven Spielberg's mind, while making the first trilogy.
They really seem to go for that, though. I mean, really hard on this at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well,
things like that, the very beginning of the movie is the show tune thing, the chorus line number and everything, and now they're doing a James Bond movie. You kind of get the sense they're like, hey, we're George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. We can do whatever we want. Now we can get to make those cool movies we've always loved. That's really awesome. So I kind of enjoy it in that sense. That's kind of fun.
And I like that Lao and his sons, like they make this joke, "Too much to drink, Dr. Jones." And it is such a delicious villain line. Like they've been practicing this, I'm sure, all day.
Yeah, he's awesome at that.
Yeah.
What's his name? The character? Sonny. We just call him Sonny.
Well, he's Cao Kahn.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cao Kahn. He's awesome at the crazy, maniacal, almost too much laughing.
Well, and I love how, after the "too much to drink, Dr. Jones" line, Lao slaps his knee with the international sign of jocularity. that Cao Kahn keeps me in stitches.
That's when I knew I was getting older, is when I actually started to slap my knee when I laughed.
And after this joke, Indy kind of staggers over to the cart with these flaming pigeons on it, and he picks up a skewer, and then he throws it at Lao's son Chen in a way that sort of seems to defy physics. Like it just takes this crazy zero arc trajectory.
Well, it also defies logic a little bit. I'm wondering why he's just been poisoned and he's freaking out a little bit. And I understand that, and he's mad at these guys for poisoning him. But why exactly does he pick up a skewer and throw it at that guy? What's his name?
I think this is a classic Indiana Jones character trait. And it's really in full bloom here. It's the make it up as you go along.
That's true.
Yeah, how fortuitous. Pigeon flambe.
Don't mind if I do.
Yeah. And he's remarkably fleet-footed in his vengeance.
Well, and you guys talked about James Bond. It has that sort of illogic of the James Bond movies whenever he's confronting a villain, going, if they really want to kill him, why don't they just shoot him?
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't they just take out their guns and all shoot him at once? Why doesn't he skewer the bad, the chief bad guy with the skewer? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's an excellent point.
Or the guy who just laughed at him.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Is this just pure revenge, or was this sort of part of a plan to get the antidote? The antidote.
I mean, the genius of the scene is that you have, and I'm sure this is what got George and Steven Spielberg into it, is you have him looking for the antidote and she's looking for the diamond. So it's, it's character and situation driven, and it's something. I mean, that's something that's fairly different. I don't remember seeing that in a movie. Maybe you guys do, where you have two people sort of each looking for something in this crazy kind of fight that's going on at the same time.
Right.
Well, what I wondered is, Pete, a little bit what you hinted at was he seeking revenge, or was he trying to create pandemonium when he threw the pigeon flambe javelin?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it both?
Yeah, or was he just not even thinking? It's just the first thing he picked up and did.
He just hates pigeon flambe. They wanted to get rid of it.
Maybe that's the poison working.
Well, look, I forget if I said this before, but seeing the guy who gets stabbed, seeing him even earlier in the movie always creeps me out, because I associate him with, like, anytime somebody dies weirdly in a movie, I associate just them with that weird death. Like Tote, you just see him melting all the time. Dietrich, you see him shriveling up and stuff, no matter what's going on. This guy, as soon as I see him, I see the weird way he dies. And it is weird because when he gets stabbed, he's still laughing or something, and he fires his gun and his arm goes up in a weird way. It almost looks like his whole entire body is a special effect, is like a manufactured puppet kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
Like a weird, you know what I'm talking about? There's something very stiff and weird and awkward about it.
Well, I think he screams when he gets the thing. It seems to me.
Yeah.
Screaming, and to me, it reminded me of the old EC comics, which I know those guys both loved. It's like, that's the cover of an EC comic. This guy, he's shooting a gun, and he's got this giant thing going through his stomach.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And it's weird too, like right, like just a few shots after he gets skewered, he fires his gun as he gets skewered, and then a couple seconds later they cut to Willie screaming about it, and the way it's framed, it looks like he just shot her, because she's standing right in front of him, sort of at the angle where he fired, and you can't see, like, his head is like blocking her midsection, so it almost looks like he shot her in the gut or something, but he didn't.
Oh,
don't get worried.
Well, and Chen's gun is now in his right hand.
Oh, you mentioned that last time.
Yeah. The last time we saw him, it was in his left. So I don't know. Maybe the flambe, caused him to convulse and switch hands with the gun.
That's probably it.
Yeah, I'm sure that was it.
And we saw that the gun was smoking, so maybe it was hot. Maybe he's just doing that thing where he kind of flips it back and forth between his hands afterwards.
Yeah, a hot potato.
You know what George used to always say, continuity is for wimps.
I kind of admire that. That's actually, you can worry too much about that kind of thing, I think.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think he goes with it here, and I think it works.
Mm-hmm.
And then... go ahead, Jerry.
I was going to say an argument could be made when you go to see an adventure film, maybe you want to go see it because there isn't continuity.
If you're noticing that, and you're not, that means they've really just failed as, movie makers.
Right. And with this entire fight scene, as I'm watching it minute by minute and picking it apart, I'm finding a lot of well, why exactly did that happen? Where's the logic in that? And, as I'm doing it, I'm also saying, well, it's a fun action scene. Would you relax? Just calm down. It doesn't have to make sense.
Well, as I was watching it, I thought I better try and find something intelligent to say.
Big mistake.
Yeah, big mistake. But I did notice something that I hadn't noticed before, which is just in terms of the staging it. Once everything gets going, all the extras are always moving from stage left to stage right, or vice versa, and the heroes are coming forward or away from us, facing the camera.
Oh, interesting.
It's just very simple, But I don't know if Spielberg, was watching a lot of other movies and decided to do that, or if he just came up with it all by himself. But it's really effective.
Yeah, maximum mayhem.
Yeah, it really
It is.
sets them off against. Yeah, it really sets off the main characters.
Yeah.
Well, and in true Indiana Jones minute, we can celebrate a true fracas.
Oh yeah.
It is a true fracas. And
There's a
yeah, go ahead.
well, what? So I have a question. An open question. What's with the first-person shot where it looks like I punch Indiana Jones?
Can I just say before anybody answers, I have in my notes, Jer's going to comment on that POV punch because it's great.
well, before you ask that, we just skipped over something. This minute is a fantastic Ben Burt minute.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Right before that happens, Indy kind of backhands Sonny, but his backhand sounds like the classic Ben Burt punch from Raiders.
Yeah.
Like where he's hitting the leather coat with the baseball bat. It's really got that powerful.
Anytime his hand connects with anything, it makes that sound. Whether he's punching or slapping or picking something up.
It's like his hand is a leather jacket.
Yeah. Sorry, back to you, Jerry, and your question about the Blues Brother.
Well, I'm just wondering. Yeah, is that who I'm supposed to be? Is that the POV view? Is I'm the Blues Brother henchman? And B, I don't know if there was any of that except for the cart scene with Marion in Tunisia, the Cairo.
Yeah.
That we ever see sort of a first-person vantage point.
Right. Maybe there's just one per movie. We'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, maybe it is.
But what's great about that part, I always loved, is just the sheer exuberance of the filmmaking where after Indiana Jones gets punched, he just turns around and wallops the cigarette guy. No good reason.
Yeah, Pete was trying to come up with a backstory for that. Like maybe she had done Wuhan wrong or something.
Well, we were also wondering when Wuhan gets shot. We were wondering because she's standing right behind him. We were wondering if she was actually the one that fired the shot. Because when Indy punches her, he kind of looks at her first, and then he just, he nails her with his left cross.
Now's his chance.
Well, I think we owe it to our guests to just say, Jonathan, preamble here. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that get bandied around here.
Just so you don't think we're nuts.
Yeah,
you can know we're nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pete is usually the creator of these.
Well, I'm all for a good conspiracy theory, but some are better than others.
That's true. We try to tell him that.
This is another great Ben Burt sound effect because when he punches the cigarette girl, it's got the punch that's got a lot of the whip sound in it.
Oh yeah,
it's really like he doesn't tap her, like he really wallops her.
Yeah. I guess that scene, because they're sort of complementary. The point of view henchman punch, and then it goes right into Indy, turning around and walloping, as you said, the cigarette lady.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just to create complete fracas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny. The great thing about the indie movies is they're very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I remember when this is sort of off subject, but when the Star Wars, it's funny too. Those guys are similar, and I remember when they did the first Clone Wars cartoon, it was very serious, and George had to explain to the Clone Wars team, it's like it's supposed to be funny.
Right.
Star Wars and Indiana Jones is not deadly serious, and it's a mistake that a lot of imitators make when they try and do these things, is make them serious. I mean, there is a serious side, but it's a lot of fun. So walloping the cigarette girl and zinging the guy with the cymbal and coming and everything. And the thing is, what I always love about this first fight is it's really a dance. It starts out with a musical number. There's the interlude of them talking. And then the fight breaks out, and you have the John Williams music. But at a certain point, the John Williams music sort of fades out, and the musical number comes back in, and all girls come in and they're screaming at him. But it's choreographed, and it's just the same as a dance, except they're fighting.
Yeah.
And even at that point, right when the girls, the showgirls, come back out, Indy even does this weird little like two-step sort of thing.
He does the Axl Rose shimmy.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, and why are they screaming at him? He's just
a man.
He must have a horrible expression on his face.
He's dancing horribly. He's ruining our number.
Maybe it's like a Beatles mania thing. It's like indie mania.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we were just talking about Ben Burt. We cannot mention Ben Burt in this minute without pointing out that the Wilhelm shows up.
Yeah, this is the first one in the movie.
Now, does that mean it's the only one in the movie?
No, I think there are 3.
Oh, really?
No, yeah, there's another one.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, you guys got me. Where does it appear here? I hadn't noticed that.
When Indy gets kind of rolled into the bandstand, when he crashes into the bandstand, you get the Wilhelm.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, I had a really good question about that because, again, in the Raiders, in our Raiders episodes, we talked a lot about Marion's Bar melee. And we talked about the beauty of watching exemplary henchmen at work. And we have another remarkable display here of 2 henchmen in perfect synchrony throwing Indy into the serving cart and rolling him. And they just naturally knew what to do. It was just a beautiful thing.
Right.
There's probably a book that explains how those guys worked together for decades and were like brothers and knew each other's moves. And
Right. That was the way they killed people.
yeah.
Went off a cliff. They forgot they weren't on the edge of a cliff.
But their plan's funny. Like, are they just kind of bad henchmen? Like, they just kind of roll him into the orchestra, and they kind of clap their hands together and walk off. Like, that's done.
Well,
That's done.
Normally, that would brain a person. I don't blame him for thinking that would have done it.
But it doesn't prevent the musicians from playing about 15 seconds later.
No.
Oh, yeah.
They're pros.
It's like the
Everyone in this
Titanic
movie's a
orchestra.
pro.
Does anybody know what the name of the orchestra is? I actually couldn't find what their name is translated as.
I worked on a good book with. I'm sure you guys have the Indiana Illustrated Indiana Jones visual guide that Jim Lucino wrote.
Yeah, I have that.
Maybe if you guys have that on hand, maybe he says what it is.
Oh yeah, take a look at that. Take a look at that between shows, actually.
After reading your books, both about Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I'm amazed that you don't know the answer to that.
You're talking to the wrong person when it comes to that kind of stuff. I know.
Okay. No, those books are so exhaustive and amazing.
I'm not good on trivia.
Okay.
Well, one thing I did think of is contrasting the first fracas scene in Raiders to this, basically the first fracas scene in the movie here, and they're wildly different.
Well, what do you consider the first fracas scene in Raiders? Marion's Bar?
Yeah, Marion's Bar.
Okay.
Marion's Bar. I don't think there's any music
No, not at all.
in Marion's Bar.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's dark, and it's sort of lit by fire, and everything's, it's hard to see.
It's a lot more killy. There's a lot more people getting badly killed
It's
in
a
that
lot
scene.
more violent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of the first things I noticed, just how it's a completely different type of melee.
Yeah, because at Marion's Bar, it's a lot more serious and a lot more like dire and actiony, but there's still like like the whiskey scene and like drinking the whiskey out of the bullet hole and stuff. There's like a lot of like cleverness to it and inventiveness, but it's not as quote unquote fun, I guess. Like this is more all out like fun melee kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just exuberant fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's different in that it's more. There's something that's more at stake. I mean, these guys might actually kill somebody. Whereas
Yeah.
there seems to be very little danger that anybody in the Obi Wan bar is actually going to kill anybody.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And
They might trip on a balloon.
but I will say Spielberg was having trouble with that first one until he kind of slowed down the action and made it more rhythmic. And you can kind of, I think he's building on that in the Temple of Doom, melee, where again it's so choreographed and it's very rhythmic. There's you can almost dance to the violence.
Well, certainly it's nonstop. Actually, you get that feeling, that sense of frustration where he's just looking for the antidote.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's, I mean, because everything's coming at you and the way it's shot and everything, you almost feel as frustrated.
Yeah.
But this one's punctuated with so many little gags. It's kind of just like the tension kind of jumps up a little bit, and then you've got a gag, and it kind of relaxes you a little bit. And it's kind of a fun little roller coaster here.
Yeah, well, I think that's the key term is roller coaster. I mean, I think Spielberg was really thinking of these movies as rides, the equivalent of a great ride in Disneyland.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Now, we know, historically, Willie Scott as a character has gotten a lot of grief, especially, trying to fill the shoes of Marion Ravenwood and stuff, who was so awesome. And a lot of people get frustrated with Willie. I'm trying to keep an open mind and give her any benefit I can, because I do actually like her in a lot of ways. I remember liking her less than I did watching it more recently. But in this scene, there's a guy who's been poisoned, and all he's trying to do is get the one little tiny thing that'll save his life. And she is doing nothing but trying to find that diamond that doesn't even belong to her and never will. And how do we walk away from this scene thinking, Willie, she's all right?
Well, she's got the same sort of avarice that Indiana Jones has.
That's not a bad point.
A single-minded focus on
treasure.
Treasure, gold or the diamond.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Indy says, right? Fortune and glory.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I don't feel that she's particularly endearing that way, the way that Indy is, at least. I don't know why, but
like her search for the diamond works perfectly for the madcap choreography of the scene. But then if you take I'm looking at her on the floor right now, being pissed off that she just had the diamond kicked away. I'm like, really? Come on, lady.
Well, that's why it's funny when the diamond gets, all the ice spills on the diamond, and you feel you're kind of happy that she's not going to get it.
Right, take that.
And I like that this minute ends with such a mid 1930s saying, like she just ooh nuts. Like she just.
I have to admit, I missed that she said that she actually says ooh nuts.
Well, you say that like that all the time, Tommy. I mean, you talk like that.
Well, I'm being ironic.
Yeah, you're one of the few adults I know who's like, drats.
Shucks.
Yeah.
Jonathan, could you tell people, is there someplace people can find you online, or?
Sure. Yes, I have. I have a website, jwrinzler.com, and I'm also on Twitter at jwrinzler. And you can look out for a couple new things I'm working on. I'm writing a book about Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
Oh,
cool.
And I don't know when that'll be out. And also doing a kind of visual analysis of Jaws.
Oh,
nice. A lot of fun.
Oh, very cool.
And again, I don't know when that will be out either. But that's my pitch for myself.
Yeah, well, definitely. I recommend everybody check it out. We've been big fans of J.W. Rinzler for a long time, and I think if you like this show, you will absolutely love his making of Indiana Jones and making of Star Wars books. Jerry, where can people find us?
Oh, certainly. Tommy, where can people find us?
Jerry, I'm glad you asked. People can find us at indianajonesminute.com, where you can find all our episodes and other stuff. You can join the conversation at Indiana Jones Minute and the Listener's Crusade on Facebook. You can find us at Twitter at Indiana Jones Min, and you can find and subscribe to this show on iTunes and Google Play.
And you can also find us right back here tomorrow for minute 10 of the Indiana Jones Minute.
Nuts.
Ooh, nuts.
Nuts?